one more time.
It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough on Saturday. Let's talk about it with our boy Brooks Austin, the Film Guy Network over on YouTube, making his weekly appearance with us for all the freaks out there listening and watching along. Brooks, I know I always ask you about the big thing in the SEC, but I'm not doing that this week. This time I'm just asking you, what the hell went wrong for Tennessee against Oklahoma?
Oh, God, I feel like y'all have lost several football games this year. You've just absolutely been terrible in red zone. Now, I know there's a lot more in that football game that went wrong. A lot of defensive explosives that were created, a lot of, turnovers, a lot of, bad mistakes and whatnot. But to me, man, I feel like, and this has been the system, this has been Heupel, but it gets worrisome down there inside the 20. I think in 2-minute drill, which is weird because like the offense is supposed to go fast. So why are y'all not? I don't trust y'all in 2-minute drills. I don't trust Josh Heupel in 2-minute drills since Arkansas of last year. I've been just like, oh, they're not going to be good. And I'm not going to be able to trust them in these situations, or at least I'm going to be nervous for them in these situations. And then in that plus 35 territory in, that 35-yard line and in, y'all get really, really, if you can't leak the tight end play action and have Kitzel run into the end zone, I worry. I worry about what's going to happen in those areas of the field. And I think it cost you against Alabama, certainly. And I thought it cost you in that football game.
Yeah, it's very strange how fast Tennessee likes going in normal situations in the game. And then you get the ball with 4.5 minutes left, and it was like the most deliberate drive of the season. The 2-minute drill hasn't been very good. The red zone hasn't been very good. What's been the biggest problem that you see jump out when it comes to Josh Heupel's red zone offense? Is it a quarterback trust issue? Because it felt that way sometimes with Joe Milton, and it felt that way sometimes with Nico. Is it a trust issue with the quarterback? Is it just not being able to confuse or use the whole field to stretch the field whenever you have the threat of the 60-yard pass? What jumps out to you when you see it?
Well, that's a good point, right? Like you're an explosive deep passing attack, and that area of the field is no longer once we get inside the 30, right? Like once we get inside the 35-yard line, and especially in the red zone, there is no 50-yard chunk play left for us to worry the defense with, right? I've always heard football coaches say good red zone football teams can run the football into the end zone. The best red zone football teams that I watch nowadays in high school or in college have a mobile threat at the position. They're adding him into the count. We get down there and boxes get a lot heavier because we have that end zone line to work with as a defender. We can use that as the 12th man, essentially. So you see a lot of man-to-man coverage, you see a lot of loaded boxes, and you see a lot of commitment to stopping the run. And the only way to balance that normally is with a rushing quarterback. It's why I think Arkansas might be the hardest team in the country to stop inside the 5. Everybody else is pretty gettable, right? I mean, I feel like everyone is struggling right now inside the 5 to run the ball into the box because run defenses have gotten way more complicated and way more complex. But I think there are other consistent issues about this football coach. And before I say that, right, this is the best football coach Tennessee has had in 20 years, okay? Y'all were a 7-win program from 2000 until Josh Heupel got there. You're a 9 to 10-win program off rip every single year now with this guy. There's been drastic improvements. He is the guy. There is no doubts in my mind. Now, that being said, you're consistently bad in 2-minute. You're consistently bad in penalties. You're consistently bad in defensive explosive metrics. You're a consistently bad tackling football team. You're consistently bad in 2-minute. You're consistently bad in a lot of areas, and you're still a 10-win football program. I would look at that and say, well, shit, he's still got a lot to clean up, and then look where we could be, instead of looking at that as like, oh, my God, look at all these things we've got to clean up. No, look at how good we still are, and look how far we've got to go. That's the way I would look at it.
It's funny that you have to go out there and give all the good stuff at the beginning before you offer any criticism, because I'm right there with you in terms of having to deal with that. It's like it's the worst part to it's the worst place to be in this business in a fan base like Tennessee. When things start going poorly, you have the extremists that view any type of criticism as you wanting to fire the coach. Like, I think everything you said about Josh Heupel and his program is completely fair. I think it's completely fair to say that he did not coach a good game against Oklahoma. And quite frankly, Brooks, I don't know how you feel. I don't think he's coached a great season. I think he's been pretty average at best when you look at some of the decisions against Mississippi State and against Alabama and being conservative against Georgia. All of that is okay. It's fixable, or at least it's something that is not detrimental enough that it ruins the program. But we're at a point right now where any type of criticism about Heupel has led to Kirk Herbstreit screaming at Tennessee fans about not wanting to fire him. No serious person wants to fire Josh Heupel. Like, we all know that, right? Like, no serious person is wanting to fire Josh Heupel. But Brooks and I talking about some of the stuff we need to clean up and some of the stuff that needs to be better is also completely fair as well.
I mean, it's the consistent issues that I would point to, right? Because we are 4 years into this, right? So there are things, and I think they've reared their head and cost you football games, right? Like the being bad in the red zone, I feel like cost you against Alabama and Oklahoma. Being bad in 2 minutes, it started in that Arkansas game last year, but I feel like there's been bad 2-minute situation drills like every single year for this football team. So there are certain things that, yeah, 100% you got to get cleaned up. The penalties, man, I just think that's going to sound terrible, but I think you got to kind of live with that. Like, you take more snaps than everybody else, so you're exposing yourself to more opportunities for mistakes. But every time you get a hold, you might create a 75-yard explosive off the fact that you're playing with pace. So I don't think there's not too much you need to change.
Well, I mean, the penalties weren't even a problem against Oklahoma. I think Tennessee ended up only with 3. It was,
but John, they've been outside the top 95 since he's been there.
Oh, no, 100%. I was just saying against Oklahoma, it wasn't an issue. They actually finally played a clean game, but it was everything else kind of falling apart. Did you feel personally responsible for jinxing David Sanders? Because you did that great breakdown of him, highlighting how much of a dog he was, and then he gives up the game-changing play.
How about that kid coming back from that ankle injury? I thought that kid's ankle was broke when I watched it on television, and I look up midway through the fourth quarter, and he's still out there playing around. Like, dude, that's the nature of this business. Like, I haven't looked at the full film on that football game, but I would imagine David Sanders probably took 70 some odd snaps Saturday night, and he probably won 67 of them, probably won 65 of them. But that one rep he lost caused a fumble, and that's all people will remember about that football game. And that sucks for offensive linemen. That's the way that it is. That's the nature of the business. I thought Will Campbell said that the best last year, right? He's like, if I give up a sack a game, I'm going to be an Amazon like box truck driver. If the other guy has a sack a game, he's $100 millionaire. Like, that's the difference between playing offensive line and defensive line. You will remember the one bad snap from David Sanders, not the 67 good ones.
I know there's been a lot of talk about giving up play calling duties for Heupel with those new NFL type looks implemented into the offense this season. If he does choose to give that up, do you think he would hand those reins off to someone kind of familiar with his traditional wide splits, or do you think he kind of continues to dive further into kind of a traditional pro style offense?
No, if he hires anybody, it's from his tree. I think he believes in what he does, and I would too. That guy has scored 40-plus points, and I think 52% of the games in which he has coached. Think about that. Wrap your head around that. Josh Heupel has scored 40-plus points in more than half of the games in which he has started and coached as a football coach. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Georgia will go like 2 games a year and score that. I mean, it's an insane amount of offensive production there. So, but I don't think he's going to change too much of it. I do believe, and I solely 100% will stand by this, I don't think you can win a national championship calling your own plays. I just don't think it's the case. I watched Ryan Day epitomize this. I watched Nick Saban for 25 years not choose to call his own plays. I've watched Steve Sarkisian, in my opinion, become a worse offensive coordinator since he has become a head coach and remained calling his own plays. I think Lane Kiffin has shortcomings every single year because he calls his own plays. I just don't think it's something that you should do. And so, yeah, I think eventually he's going to have to get somebody in there. But the best guy to ever do it with him is down there at South Florida winning 8 games, 9 games, about to be a playoff team. So what do? You know, that's the nature of coaching as well. You do well and people get stolen off your staff.
Why do you think coaches are so insistent that they continue to call their own plays? I mean, I know they're control freaks. I know they want to be in control of their own destiny, but like, I feel like making your life easier should also be priority one. Like, having someone else calling the plays and you maybe overseeing that just seems like such a simple solution.
You know what, John? Like, we could have coaches that are too involved, like Heupel and like Sarkisian and like Kiffin, and to an extent like Kirby Smart, because I guarantee you there's not a defensive play call that goes to the headset that Kirby Smart's not the last, moment of filtration for. I would almost rather these coaches, and I criticize them about it. Maybe they should step away from it and allow somebody to make it their sole job, because it is 100% a full consumption job. Game planning and game calling is 160-hour-a-week job, it feels like, I would imagine. But I would much rather my football coach be doing too much than what Brian Kelly and Hugh Freeze just got fired for. The idea that those sorry sacks of you-know-what were taking $7 million paychecks and playing golf twice a week, I would do something crazy if I were those football fans. If I were an Auburn booster that was on the hook for that $15 million buyout, if I were an LSU booster that was on the hook for a $57 million buyout, and I found out that my CEO, my head football coach, was golfing on Fridays and Sundays, I don't know what I'd do. I think I'd poison them trees, Paul. That's what I think I'd do. I think I would go that crazy.
I mean, you run a business, you get it. So, and we say it here, and finding people to work with, you would rather ask people to slow down and take a little bit off the plate versus like actually
stop. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Versus having to motivate somebody to work.
Yeah, most of these people nowadays, I feel like I gotta ride like a stallion just to get them to sprint. And that's not what needs to be done.
Am I being too close to it? Am I being too much of a Tennessee homer for coming out of that Oklahoma game feeling like Tennessee blew it and it was a bad Tennessee loss, more so than giving Oklahoma credit for making the stops and forcing the turnovers and winning that game?
Look, you can't I like collapse. We debated this last night as a show. Like, do you label that a collapse or do you label that a we gave the game away? I label that as y'all gave the game away, right? Like, you can never feel good about yourself when you go into half, you've outgained them 280 yards to 90, and you're down 16-10 on the scoreboard. That is giving them the football game, right? And you did it via turnovers. The fumble, two interceptions, all in the first half, and a missed field goal. You will not win those football games in this conference against ranked opponents if you do that. So, yeah, I thought you gave them the football game. You did not lose it, if that makes sense. Now, in the second half, they did everything they can to make sure that they were the better football team. They finished better than you, but how could they not? They felt like they won the damn lottery. They felt like they survived the blow in the first half and were up a score. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, yeah, you gave them that football game, I felt like.
And that's what I think. I mean, I don't know how you feel about, expectations and being upset about stuff, but like, regardless of how Tennessee fans felt in the offseason, if you had 8-4 or whatever, you could still get to the week and have that game in front of you and come out pretty disgusted with what happened against Oklahoma. And you can be disgusted without wanting to burn stuff down, but like Tennessee gave that game away.
Look, the expectations of this football team have changed in the midst of the season. There's no doubt about that. But the reasons that they lose have been the same for 3 years. Yep. I think that's what you're frustrated with.
Yep.
And that's accurate. You're not frustrated because they're not 12-0. You're frustrated because they lost to Oklahoma the same way they've lost some of these other football games. And that's all you want to point out, and that's all you want to talk about, and that's fine. You have the right to do that as a fan. And he has the right as a football coach, or should have the responsibility to look at that and say, you know what? They are correct. I do need to fix some of this stuff. Some of this stuff is a recurring theme, and there are recurring problems, and it needs to get addressed.
Are these last 3 games a good measuring stick for the growth of the program under Heupel, kind of knowing that your playoff hopes are dead, but there's so much youth on this roster, and you're playing 50% of guys on your team basically that are freshmen or sophomores? How much do these last couple of games of the season really kind of set the tone for, the next couple of years under Heupel and what he's trying to build ultimately?
Is it Vandy, Florida in a tomato can?
Yeah.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I think what I can't stop wrapping my brain around is the idea that one day, very, very soon, Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, and my man Tristan Keys are probably going to be on the same field at the same time. And that terrifies me as anybody who's ever studied defensive football, because I don't know what the hell I'd do with that. Yeah, have fun the rest of the 3 games. That's all good. Your culture, where your football program stands, I learned far more about that this offseason, right? I learned far more about what this football coach is in terms of what he's going to build in terms of a team when you let the 5-star quarterback walk because he's being a lunatic and he's out here, doing the hostile negotiation tactics left and right. Y'all didn't just slap on the wrist Boo Carter. Y'all smacked Boo Carter right back into line. Now, has he done any terms of development? Has he gotten any better? I thought he was better last year as a freshman than he is right now. That's a problem. But all that being said, there are so many good things about Tennessee's football program that an outside observer that I noticed. Like, for example, I covered Joshua Josephs in high school. I covered Jeremiah Telander in high school. Those 2 football players, never did I ever think they were going to be what they currently are. I never thought Jeremiah Telander was going to be playable, let alone winnable. I feel like he could be better for Tennessee. Y'all could have better linebackers, but the idea that guy is going to play basically 3 years worth of starts to me says a whole hell of a lot about your development in terms of your strength and conditioning program and what y'all are doing with humans, right? What y'all doing with talents. Joshua Josephs is the same exact example of that to me. Ty Redmond is that to me. Y'all are doing things that you have to do to compete at the top end level, because you have to come down into the state of Georgia because the Tennessee recruiting base and the high school talent up there is not all that great. So you have to dip into Georgia. And to be honest, you have to take players that maybe the Bulldogs don't want, right? You have to take a guy like Ty Redmond that doesn't have an offer. You have to take a guy like Jeremiah Telander that didn't have an offer. You have to take guys like Joshua Josephs that don't have an offer, and they might be your best football players. And that's how development has to work out there. I also got into this debate with Tennessee fans, and I know I'm going long. Y'all get real distorted with, oh, we spent a lot of money on our roster. Oh, we spent money like Alabama. Yeah, you might have spent money like Alabama, but you don't get results like Alabama with regards to talent acquisition. So talent spending and talent roster are not equivalent. That is not how that works. So I just want to get that out there. Yeah, y'all might spend a lot of money, but it doesn't mean you're buying the same caliber of football player. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, I would say that the roster spending, it does kind of come with an asterisk for me this year whenever you have, probably $4 or $5 million sitting on the bench with McCoy and Gibson and a Boo Carter that's not playing. So it's not really helping with the roster.
And your 5-star tackle for the first 4 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The roster spending's nice, but those guys have to play, and it would have been nice to see what this defense would have been like with McCoy. Look, Brooks, I appreciate the therapy session. There wasn't much ball to talk here, more so as just you talk me off a ledge, and we do a little therapy here. Last question on the way out, just kind of want to get you to, I know you said you haven't broken it down like you normally would, but Joey Aguilar, I mean, were those just the turnover mistakes that everyone saw at Appalachian State kind of rearing their head? Was there something more there? What would you see?
The 2-minute one, that when I see a football coach immediately grab his quarterback, cover his mouth, and then take his Waffle House card off of his mouth, and you can see the head coach go, "That's on me. That's my bad." That when I see situations like that, because these college coaches can talk to these quarterbacks up until the last 15 seconds, I can't imagine how many times. I would bet there's a dozen of them, maybe 2 dozen of them a game, where the last thing said to that quarterback is, "Hey, I can almost guarantee you this is going to be wide open," or, "Hey, make sure you look for this." And that looked like I'm getting pressure right now. The last thing I heard was the tight end might be open down the middle of the field, and he just kind of threw it up because we were already getting pressure. The ball in the plus territory, I felt like he was already under heat as well. I felt like both of those throws were thrown a second or 2 way too early because he's trying to get the ball out because he's under pressure. Also, on top of that, you never have any idea what Oklahoma's playing. Not a damn clue. You don't have a damn clue what they're playing. until you get to pause it at the top of your drop on film on Sundays. And then you get to go, oh, they're playing 3 high, but you had no idea because they lied to you pre-snap. So that's that football team. That's what the Sooners do, man. That's why you got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to be balanced. You got to be able to maintain possession. Got to be able to wear their defense down. Got to be able to do what Ole Miss did. Ole Miss took 84 snaps, gave up 1 sack, and didn't have a turnover. That's how you beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, the first interception felt like a back foot, didn't put enough on it, maybe should have thrown it in the back of the end zone, maybe didn't see the safety, but either way underthrew it. The second one, that's an interesting point about Heupel saying my bad, because I saw Joey come off the field asking what happened there. So, like, it was almost like, he had been fed bad intel. But it was also into triple coverage. So, yeah, like, he didn't do it with his eyes. He had made that decision up before the play, and maybe
I don't even think he looked before he threw it. It looked like he had eyes left and then just kind of did back. One of those. I think that's hey, let's take our drop, hold him left. It's going to be wide ass open. Let's throw it. And then that's why we come off the field and hit him with a what happened.
Yep, that's a really good point. Brooks Austin, appreciate your time as always. Go subscribe to the Film God Network. Anything big you're working on today?
No, man, just trying to survive. We're cranking out film studies every day, all day. So, yeah, Film God Network, just come holler at your boy. Appreciate you for having me on.
As always, man.
Thanks, Brooks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, the my bad from Heupel. I don't know. Like, I was in the game and I hadn't found the official like game footage, but the extended package I saw did have Aguilar asking him what happened there.
He looked so confused going back to the quarterback coach in the green hat type of thing. It's just like, what?
So maybe that is a good point that I hadn't really considered, that would be somebody in the headset just saying we're going, like he said, you're going to look left and the right down the middle is going to be wide open, because it was in a triple coverage.
Yeah.
If you just watch the throw, you're like, how does he make that mistake? And then I don't know if I feel better or worse, Sam.
I was going to say, I don't know if I love just our coach being like, hey, Joey, don't think about anything. You're going to have this guy wide open on the right side of the field and just live or die with the outcome.
Yeah, I don't think that makes me feel better about my coach. I think I liked that Joey was confused more than just.
But also, how many times has that worked out for us, too?
Yeah, I don't know. When did it work out in the big games? I'd like to know that, because it was a big game where it really, really looked bad. Bubba, send us a break. We'll continue the conversation. On the other side is Talk Sports on Fan Run Radio.
Can't get enough Fan Run Radio? Download the free Fan Run app and take the best Tennessee sports conversations with you wherever you go.